Hey everyone, welcome back to Go With The Flow. I'm Josiah, and today I'm joined by another very special guest. I'm actually excited for this one. He's listed on the top 100 most influential real estate leaders by Inman News. And now he's the CEO of Vendasta, which is a company in Saskatoon, and his name is Mr. Brendan King. Thank you for coming on the show, man.
Thanks for having me, Josiah. You reached back pretty far there with the Inman News reference.
That's cool. Yeah? Yep, I know. I've done a little bit of digging, I won't lie, okay? Yeah. So basically, during this podcast, I want to get into a lot about your background, I guess, of before starting Vendasta, even going back to all the way to your childhood. Now, so that's something, obviously, I couldn't really find a lot on. Yeah. But first, before we even get into that, could you explain to the listeners what Vendasta is exactly?
Sure. So what Vendasta does is we provide an end-to-end e-commerce platform, and it's really for anyone that sells solutions to local businesses. So today, local businesses are moving to software as a service more and more. They used to buy box software, accounting or whatever it might be, HR software. They're moving online. In fact, they're moving online 3 times faster than enterprises did. And they're going to, it's going to be a huge market, a $72 billion market in North America by 2020.
Jeez.
And it's huge. But as they move on to find these softwares, they're oftentimes buying them in different places, getting different logins. It's pretty confusing for them.
Yeah.
So they do what they've always done. They turn to folks they trust. So if they need legal help, they turn to a lawyer. If they need accounting help, they turn to an accountant.
Yeah.
So we find that what we're doing is providing a platform for anyone that services small businesses and allowing them to provide software the way that those businesses want to buy it. So really, we're giving an entire cloud brokerage platform to anyone servicing them. And so if you're selling to businesses today, so say you can be a media company, a radio, a TV station, a yellow page company, a paper, or you might be an accountant, or you might be a financial institution.
Yeah.
Your customers are local businesses and they want SaaS software. And so your options are to try to knit together a bunch of different solutions or build the platform yourself. And those are hard things to do. And so we provide a platform to help those folks deliver that type of software and turn local businesses into A players across all aspects of the business.
Got it. That's I was actually at your company, I think last year, a year and a half ago now. They showed me the software. I loved it. I think it's really cool.
Great.
Now, obviously you're the CEO now, but before that, I believe you had 2 or 3 other companies, correct? Or is that a little off?
Even more than how far do you want to go back?
Oh, we're going all the way back, man. All the way back.
Well, my first company was a funny thing. I'm from Moose Jaw.
Okay.
And great family, had a good time growing up. But for some reason, and I don't tell this story very often, I don't know if I've ever story actually to anyone here, but I remember looking through the Sears catalog at Christmas time, and and what I wanted was an easy bake oven, which must have freaked out my mom and dad. They wondered why I wanted that. But what I wanted to do was to set up a store.
Really?
So I didn't get the easy bake oven, but I didn't really want one of those anyway. I wanted what I was a business opportunity, and I think I was like 7 years old, and my brother and I, no one will remember Pick-a-Pop, that they had that in our province, and we set up outside of the local convenience store about a block away, and we started selling Pick-a-Pop and chips. I think old Dutch chips and or Hostess maybe. And anyway, the proprietor of that store came and chased us away because we were taking away his business. So that was really my first crack at a business.
Yep.
We took the pop from mom and dad's house, so we had 0 cost of goods. So it was a pretty good deal.
So were your parents entrepreneurs then at all, or no?
In a way, yeah, I guess. My dad and his brother, they had a company called Canada's Apparel, and they just are. It's actually still kind of there, but they're closing down now. They made men's slacks, and so they Woolworths and the Bay and Eaton's and Kresge's were customers. They shipped all over Canada. So in a way, he is an entrepreneur. So yeah, I guess so.
So that's where you kind of get a little bit from?
I was like 7 years old. What's that?
So that's where you get some of your little entrepreneurship from, then I'm assuming is from your parents a little bit?
I guess I must, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yep.
Well, my other brothers, the rest of the family didn't turn out that way. One's an orthodontist, one's a lawyer, and one's an engineer.
No way, really.
So I'm the only one who's I'm the black sheep of the family.
Yeah, I feel that. So then, high school. What type of kid would you say you were in high school? Were you like a popular kid, athletic? Just
You know what? I was weird because I didn't. I played football and I wrestled, so I did good in sports. But I didn't hang out with the jocks really. I actually hang out with the geeks. I like to play Dungeons and Dragons and other things like that. So I kind of spanned the gap. It was interesting. We were talking about this the other day. I was friends with everybody across the spectrum, all the way from. I went, one of my roommates at university, my degree's in physics, U of S, and one of my roommates, he's working at the CERN accelerator, all the way through to, I've got jock friends who are, coaching football. So I was across the spectrum.
So then what did you go to high school in Moose Jaw or Saskatoon?
Moose Jaw.
Okay. And then you went to U of S here.
Went to U of S, yeah.
For physics.
My degree's in physics, and then I realized I didn't want to be a physicist because I didn't want to, and so I got a second degree in geophysics, and went to work for Eldorado Nuclear before they joined with SMDC to become Cameco, what Cameco is.
Okay, yeah.
Does Cameco, and worked up north a little bit, and I'll take a step back. In university, I actually had another business. I sold these shorts. Those long running shorts. They were called "Son of a Beach."
Okay.
And I sold them to all the softball teams, all the student union clubs.
Yep.
So I made quite a lot of money. I think that third year university is like $70,000. So or maybe that was fourth year, and then we set up a store in the Wildwood Mall here in Saskatoon, and ended up losing all that money in a year. Yeah, they were said the Wildwood Mall was going to join with the Circle Park Mall, but it never happened for a few years, and so lost that. But anyway, I went to work at Cameco, and one of my buddies phoned up and said, "Hey, we're still young. Remember that idea you had about recycling toner cartridges?" I said, "Yeah, I know. I remember that idea. We should start a business." So I came back and said, "This is going to be my only shot. If I get into a business." Getting into work for Cameco, I'll probably never leave. So I said, well, let's try it. And so we started a company right out of university, basically, maybe 10 months out after the Cameco job, called Delron Laser Products. And it was recycling toner cartridges. Within the first year, we only sold that first year we said $89,000 worth of stuff. And then we started to sell, so that was toner cartridges, had a really good profit margin, probably 90%. And so we could live, but we ended up starting to sell laser printers and then computers. And so we turned it into Delron Computers, and then by 1995, I think we had about $15 million in sales, and we had two stores, one in Regina and one in Saskatoon. So he moved to Regina to run those.
$15 million in sales?
Yeah, back in the day. Yeah.
So how old were you at that time then? 23, 24?
24, yeah.
No way.
Yeah, had my first. So my kids are old. I have all the way from 27, should be 28 soon, all the way down to 11. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So then, okay. So can you walk me through? Okay, before I even get to that question. So you got a degree in physics and geophysics.
Yeah.
And now you're a business owner.
Yeah, taking it on the year because I didn't have any training in those areas. So everything I learned was from the School of Hard Knocks. So that was tough. One lesson I would give is if you don't know, ask. So I learned things the hard way that way. Ended up selling that in 1999 to my business partner. Okay. Sold the Delron, which by the way, in 96 we turned it into a CompuSmart, which was a chain across Canada. So we joined a chain.
Okay, yeah.
Then 1999, I was like, retail sucks. It's too hard. I'm there 7 hours a day. No, sorry, 7 days a week, 12 hours a day.
Okay, there we go.
Like we were there all the time, 7 hours a day. Yeah. So all the time. And so I needed to spend more time with my children and other family. Yeah. And so I went to work for a customer of mine at a company called Point 2 in 1999. So that was sort of the next evolution. and they were building heavy equipment systems for Caterpillar. So they were building a thing called Cat Used, where all the Caterpillar dealers could trade their heavy equipment.
Okay.
And then, I thought at that time that, wow, there's an opportunity here, because the internet's really good for finding those complex capital assets. Like if you want to find $1 million D1011R, you look online and you buy it from wherever and have it sent to us, because it's half the price as it's used.
Yeah.
Whereas we also said, people look online for homes at the time, and realtors at the time were having a real problem, getting the homes online, getting the photos online, being able to take them down after they sold them. So we did a prototype in 2000 where realtors were entering in, instead of track type tractor, they were putting a neighborhood in.
Okay.
And started a thing with realtors. And by the time I left Point Two, that was sort of my part of Point Two, and I was the COO of real estate in Point Two. And by the time I left Point Two in 2007, we had 150,000 realtors using this product in 24 countries. So
150,000.
150,000 realtors.
Unreal.
Yeah. So it was a SaaS product, a software as a service, before it was a thing. And so, so in some ways I've been in the software SaaS business since 1999. So yeah.
Okay. So then I'm assuming that obviously helped or quite a bit. Like, you called it Point Two, right? That's what it's called, I believe. Yeah. So Point Two, it's a SaaS product. Now, Vendasta is it's the same idea or same concept, correct? So what's the story behind Vendasta? Like, how did you come up with that, I guess?
Wow, it didn't happen the way you probably think. So, at Point Two, we wanted to, buy the company, so the most of the owners weren't really working in the company, and they had a different idea on valuation. So we said, okay, we're going to move on and do our own thing, which was tough, because my last child was my wife was pregnant with our last child. So moving to something, where you don't really have a necessarily a secure future was tough. And so we started in 2008, January 1st. And our idea was we had to eat. So we did some consulting work for a company called Ritchie Brothers.
Okay.
And that helped us to start our company. And we were doing consulting work, but a few of us were working on a business plan, and we raised some money in the summer of 2008 on that plan. And what it was going to be a social network called My Front Steps. You can still look on YouTube and find some of the things that are there. Yeah. And so My Front Steps, it was a social network for homeowners where you could share your home online, but more importantly, you'd be able to find contractors, painters, realtors, landscapers that your friends had used and trusted.
Okay, yeah.
Kind of like a thumbtack or a house. And then on the other side of the business, for all those service providers, contractors and folks, we were going to build a free reputation tool where they could see what people were saying about them. And then we were going to try to connect the two together. So you could put your home online and you could say, here's my bathroom. I want it to look like this. And then ask these guys for a quote. And we would try to monetize that. So what we got, though, was people didn't really want to share their home online yet. But there was a huge demand for this reputation tool. So we had thousands and thousands of people signing up to this free tool, which was making us broke. So we had to pivot. So we pivoted to the reputation tool, and why we did that was because if you remember 2008, the iPhone was just coming out. Jobs just released it that year, and so people had access to information anywhere, anytime, any place. And through Google, the iPhone, and the internet. And what happened is that really wrecked advertising for a lot of the traditional advertisers. So back when I had my computer company, all I needed was a Yellow Page ad, bus board, newspaper ad, radio spot, or a TV ad. And people only had one choice: phone me, come and see me. And I got a chance to sell them. And then 2008, everything was changed by then, and changing faster. And what it meant is if folks heard, like you're running along and you hear an ad in the radio for winter tires, and you can't remember who it is, and you search for Saskatoon winter tires, and you find Cal Tire, but it was OK Tire that placed the ad. That means OK just paid for Cal Tire's demand. And so people needed to, you still need advertising, but after that, then you got to be found. So listing, best place to hide a dead body, second page of the Google search results. After you get found, you have to have a good reputation. And then after people choose you and do business with you, you have to have a social sort of profile so they can advocate for you on either Facebook or Twitter or somewhere else. So we focused on that, and we focused on selling. Because we'd done this in real estate, we knew that selling directly to small businesses is like herding cats. They have a really high cost to acquire them. They go out of business really quick. We didn't want to do that. So we went to people who already had those businesses, and we went to newspapers and yellow pages whose revenue was falling off a cliff.
Yep.
And we have a way to help make your advertising more effective with this listings, reputation, and social. And we started to sell those products to them. So that's really how we started the company.
So then when did you start the company? 8 to 11 years ago now?
2008. So I guess longer than I want to remember.
hey, that's pretty much when I was 9 or 10 years old at the time.
And our first real revenue as a product company, signed Hearst and Zip Local in December 2010, was March of 2011. So that's really the start of the company was March of 2011.
Interesting. Okay, so then you started the company, and you have how many employees now? 250 to 300 ish.
Yeah, we're just under 300. I think we're about 278, but I think we're hiring a whack more of our interns from U of S have just coming back. So that should...
Got it. So then how? Okay, so one question I'm trying to figure out here is, I mean, you did really well before Vendasta, clearly. But with Vendasta, you scaled. It seems like you scaled it pretty fast.
Yeah, I mean, right, because you were coming from 20 people in 2011 to 300 people now, or 320 by the end of the year. It's a fairly fast thing, and the organization changes dramatically along the way when you're scaling to that way. So where you might have a smaller organization that's sort of maybe a flat one because you're a few people till you're maybe 40 or 50, and then you got to change. So at 50 people, you have to become, maybe you change by being functional. So you organize around engineering and around sales and then when you double again, you got to decide what to organize around. Do you organize around your customers? Do you organize around geography? Do you organize, and so we've managed, we're currently divisionalized, and that those divisions are really organized around our personas of our customers. So we have our enterprise customers and our agency customers. And so that's the way that we organize today.
So then how, so you say you work a lot with local businesses. That's mostly what the product is for, correct? Yeah,
mostly in the U.S. I think,
So then you also have very notable companies as well that I can't even remember. I think iHeartRadio or iHeartMedia was one of them. So how does one go from local businesses to a very notable brand like that then?
Sure. So we started in the enterprise space with the Hearst and a Zip Local, and then the which you might not know, but McClatchy, the larger newspapers, yellow page companies, and as we did that, there was a lot, because there was only a few of us that were doing the sales. We want to obviously sell to the biggest potential customers, and those customers. And because we don't sell direct to the local business, we wanted the people that had the biggest footprint, the most SMBs. Today we have what we call turning them into cloud brokers. So, we have about 10,000 of these cloud brokers, and they're touching about 12 million SMBs. But as we get bigger, we find that there's a lot of folks like yourself who have a digital agency say, I need a product, to help me compete with these big guys. That we sort of democratize that technology for our smaller agencies so that they can get access to all the products, whether it's in-store Wi-Fi or whether it's, advertising. And so we give them sort of group buying prices. So we get better prices for those smaller folks. So they can sign up and use our platform.
Okay. So that makes sense. So then to scale to where you're at today, obviously you need a very good work ethic. What is the driving force behind your work ethic? Is there something you're chasing? Is there an end goal you're trying to go after, or what is it?
I like to win. I mean, I think how you win is important too, but when I say win, I like my team to win. I like to win together. And, I get a chip on my shoulder when people say you can't do it from Saskatchewan or you can't do it in Canada. And, we have a lot of that here in this province, in fact, in this country. And that's why, we started in the U.S. first, because people are like, oh, you're from Saskatchewan, and so we didn't find that in the U.S. and we really grew big, and now we're able to sell it in Canada too. But yeah, I guess I like to build something and I like to succeed at that. And it's, we talked about the organizational structure to scale. The big thing that helps you scale more than anything else is culture and winning. When I say winning, I mean in terms of revenue. it doesn't matter what you do if you can't sell and succeed, or if you don't have a proper culture and people don't want to be there, you're not scaling at all, ever.
Got it. Yeah.
So, those are the things that help you get to where you need to be.
So then, when you do business in the U.S., is it a lot different compared to Canada? Because obviously you started there, but then as soon as you got into Canada, did you notice a difference at all in the selling or no?
So there's a few I think ways to think about it. I think a lot depends on the business climate. I think Canadians are a little more cautious, but by trade. But that's not necessarily always a good thing. In the U.S., the revenue from those newspapers fell off the cliff fast.
Yeah.
So what happened was, it's like throwing a frog into boiling water. It jumps out. And so those guys did. Whereas in Canada, the newspapers, they were doing okay. Even the yellow page companies doing okay, doing okay. They're sitting in hot water like a frog, slowly heating up, and they boil to death. So they don't never jump out. So I think there's a combination of that, of the timing. So I'm not going to say that we could, like a lot of great companies do start in Canada. I think maybe we could have if we would have focused on that. But the factor is that they were more ready, and they had a bigger market, and they were ready for our product. It's probably more of a timing and opportunity thing than it is anything else.
Got it. Okay. So then, do you have any offices in the U.S. at all then, or no, or even in Canada?
We have about 30 people that are not in this office that live in different places, like Jacksonville and Chicago and Seattle and San Diego. So we have people around, scattered around.
Okay. So before we get into this next part, I'll explain to you what it is exactly. 5-round questions. So basically, I'll ask you a list of questions. They may be random. They may be towards business. Who knows? And you basically just have to, whatever answer comes to your head as fast as it does, and you just say it, and then we move on.
All right.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so very first question. If you were a superhero, who would it be?
Spider-Man.
Reason is?
Well, because it's too easy to be Superman. Okay. Spider-Man's more vulnerable, and he's got a good set of senses, but he's also got a way to, he's a good guy.
Fair. What is one skill you really want to learn or develop? I'm forced constantly to learn skills. Like, I'm a product guy at heart, and I'm good at it. But to be a CEO, I've got to change my skill set. So, we're looking towards acting like a public company. So I need to become a public company CEO, and I'm going to develop skills. Okay, got it. If you could have a 1-hour conversation with someone, who would it be? Whether it's past or present?
That's a tough question. Might be my grandpa. Who's not here.
What did he do?
Well, I had two of them. One was a farmer and one was a contractor. Either one would do.
Interesting. Okay, nice. Biggest opportunity in 2019 for businesses. 2019. So look, I think that I'm going to give you if I didn't think it was the biggest. So there's maybe it's two-sided, but it's really software as a service. So more and more, I buy into this 110% that small businesses are moving to SaaS. I think that's where the next unicorns are going to be made. Agreed. Yep.
Applying those small businesses. So I'm going to go with that.
Okay. Are you a big reader at all?
I read a lot. Yep.
Okay. What's the book that has impacted you the most?
I don't know. Growing up, I read all the Stephen King books, and I really like, The Stand in the Dark Tower and all those. But, probably if I'm honest on a business front, it would be Jim Collins' Good to Great, and Patrick Lencioni, 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. We use those things to build this company, and to build point 2 before it. And those are fantastic reads. They're not the newest books, but I'm telling you, they're great. And Daniel Kahneman, Thinking Fast and Slow, has been a fantastic book. So I think anyone should check that one out.
I'm reading Good to Great right now, actually, which is, I think it's actually fascinating. Like, even the amount of research they put into it too blows my mind, and how they just figure out the hedgehog concept and everything like that. It's it's fascinating. What is
do read Daniel Kahneman, Thinking Fast and Slow. You got to read it.
Thinking Fast and Slow.
Yeah.
Is it newer or older?
Older, but it's great.
Okay, will do. I read all the time, so I want to. What is the most overlooked aspect of running a business that most entrepreneurs should be aware of?
It's way harder than you think it's going to be.
In terms of what? In everything or what?
You know what? In terms of persistent and, the greatest, doubt is your greatest enemy, and you got to beat that every day. Being challenged in life is inevitable. Losing's an option, so it's just like, you have to just be persistent.
So a lot of it's mental at that point then.
I believe it is.
Actually, before I even get to the next question, then I have another one. Do you personally feel like you've made it?
No, I probably never will. I'm not worried, and I don't worry too much about that either. Like,
Yep.
It's like, made it. I don't even know what that means for sure. I noticed that a lot of people that have made it, celebrities and such, they don't seem to be very happy. So I don't know what it means to make it, but I feel like it's the journey, and you got to enjoy yourself along the way. There's not really an end. The end is dying. And being old.
I agree with that. First thing you do in the morning.
It's interesting. The very first thing I do, I don't know, like I do different things very first, but when I go to bed at night, I have this thing, and my wife thinks she's jealous because I can fall asleep in like 30 seconds. I hypnotize myself. But basically what I do is I say, here's the 10 things I'm worried about. And then I ask myself, can I do anything about it? No, then I put it aside. And if I say yes, I say, why haven't I done it? And I make a list to do it. And oftentimes in doing that, when I wake up in the morning and I go into the shower, the answers to those things come to me. And so that's, I think, I know it sounds really weird, but that
makes sense.
That is the first thing I do in the morning is to basically query my sleeping brain, I guess, or whatever happened in my dreams, and figure out if they got any answers for me.
Huh. So when you found the answer to whatever it is that you're worrying about, do you take action right away? Or,
In fact, I sometimes get out of the shower wet and write it down. And now it's like use Google Keep on my phone. But yeah, of course, or send off tons of emails or Slacks to people at work, and they're like, they know right away that I just.
That's awesome. I like that. So then, do you have a morning routine as well then, or no?
Like what I do now that I'm embarrassed to say is I get up and I kind of look at the news real quick. I look at my Slack, my email real quick to see if there's anything urgent.
Yep.
And then I just I look on the couple of the news channels, just see what's going on. If nothing's really happening, then I shower.
Yep.
And I get to work, and I like to be at work pretty early. I like to be at work. I probably got to start working out, but I don't like doing that in the morning just yet. So
wait, have you worked out? This is
in the past I used to.
Where did you work out? Like, was it in Saskatoon?
Yeah, like when we're at Point 2, we had a gym there, and I was working out there after work, and it was great. And I need to figure out how to do that here, but I've been very busy, so it's been
for some reason I feel like I've seen you at a CrossFit Brio. I don't know if you've heard of it, but
I've been there only because my youngest daughter, who's 11, was going there. And that's where you saw me, and I was picking it up.
Yes, probably. Yes. Okay, this makes more sense now. Okay, so one thing you want to try but haven't yet.
And so you probably know Carly too in Fair.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, Carly is the executive assistant here. So
I know we were emailing each other. I'm like, no way, I didn't know this is what she did now.
Sorry, what was the question?
No, all good. So what is one thing you want to try but haven't yet?
Oh, I don't know. I was kind of thinking about getting a tattoo, but I've never found the one that I'd want to keep with me forever. No, I like to go to different places and travel a little bit.
Okay.
A lot of places I'd like to go. So yeah, there's I like to experience those different things. Yeah.
Sure. Do you have a guilty time waster? Whether it be you watch YouTube, you look at social media, you text too much.
You know what? I use social media, but I just post out. I barely read it.
Yep.
I just don't because it's not interesting to me. But
yep.
I shouldn't say that, but what I do with my wife is I binge watch things. So like we'll binge watch Game of Thrones. So I don't watch TV except some sports. So but I would binge watch an interesting series. So I would do that.
Fair. Wait, so you watch sports, you said. What sports do you watch then?
Well, I coach my daughter in wrestling, so I like wrestling, but you can't really watch that all that much. So, football and hockey are my two. Yeah.
And favorite teams in them?
So Saskatchewan Roughriders, of course.
Yeah.
Football, but except in the U.S., I have three, and they go in this order: Green Bay Packers, the New England Patriots, and then the Kansas City Chiefs. Mm-hmm. Those are my three teams there in that order. And then in hockey, I'm a Montreal Canadiens fan. Always have been. When I was growing up, my dad's a Toronto fan. He still is.
Yeah.
We'd go over to my grandpa's house. Mm-hmm. And, Montreal fan. It was his father-in-law, my mom's dad, and he would give us Coke shakes and have us milkshakes and have us floats rather, and have us cheer for the Montreal Canadiens against Dad. So Toronto hasn't won since I don't know when. Maybe 66 or something. So
I feel like those would be pretty heated games to watch with your dad.
Now I cheer for any Canadian team, anyone. That's all I want. Yeah, I'd even cheer for Toronto. I cheered for Toronto. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Two more questions. Most important thing to establish in your company culture.
Our cultures, we drive innovation, respect, and agility. So we drive innovation through, constant. So it's a combination of those things. So you have to have respect for each other.
Yep.
You have to be able to, push the limits so you get the right answers. So you have to have conflict.
Yeah.
Part of drive. So we really are driven. I think a lot of businesses never get to that point where they're trying to do something. It's okay too. Like some people just want to have a lifestyle business. Mm-hmm. That's not what we're doing here. We're trying to do something that's bigger than that.
Yeah.
And so it's not for everybody. So I always fall back. So here's my answer. I always fall back to, you got to enjoy what you're doing. Like you're spending more time at work than you are with your family or sleeping or anything. And if you don't enjoy it, and I tell people, and I mean it, if you're not having fun, I'll help you find a different job. Because maybe in the future, I've had people work for me up to 3 or 4 times already over the course of coming in, and I'm totally cool with that. So people have to have fun. I really, really mean that, and I would help anyone who's not having fun to find a different place. And we're going to have fun while we do it.
I haven't heard that answer before. I like it. Last question: do you have a secret talent?
I'm good at foosball.
Foosball. Okay.
I think maybe or going to sleep. I'm really good at that too. No, probably not really. I think it's about hard work and actually doing, starting a plan of action. I have a bias for action. Maybe that would be a secret talent. I have a bias for action.
Awesome. Well, Brendan King, thank you for coming on the show, man. I really enjoyed it. I think you delivered a lot of value in this episode.
It was great. You have to send the link.
Oh, I'm going to definitely do that after. Awesome. Anyways, Kay, thanks for coming on the show. And everyone, I guess we will see you next week. Take care.